The Necessary and Proper Clause movie. The Necessary and Proper Clause, which is mentioned in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, states that the Congress shall have power to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. So what it's basically saying is that Congress has the power to do things which aren't specifically listed in the Constitution, which is why this is also known as the Elastic Clause, because it gives Congress elasticity. Now, leading up to the ratification of the Constitution, the clause actually brought up a lot of controversy because the Anti-Federalists believed that it would give the federal government way too much power, but the Federalists, being Hamilton and Madison, argued in the Federalist Papers that without it, the Constitution would just be a dead paper. The first real example of the clause being applied is in the creation of the First National Bank. Hamilton used the clause to defend his case when Madison argued that Congress lacked the authority to charter a bank. Hamilton said that the bank was a reasonable means of carrying out powers related to taxation and the borrowing of funds, claiming that the clause applied to activities reasonably related to constitutional powers. The clause was also used in the McCulloch v. Maryland case, when Maryland did not believe Congress should have made the second national bank, and so they taxed it. McCulloch, who was a part of the bank, refused to pay the taxes and used the clause to defend his case, saying that Congress had the implied powers to make the bank. Another example is in the Louisiana Purchase, because it never actually says in the Constitution that presidents have the power to buy land from other countries. But Thomas Jefferson did what he thought was implied and the right thing by buying the land anyways. Another application comes in the Wickard v. Filburn case, where the Supreme Court made it a crime for farmers to produce more than what was allowed, regardless if they were using it for themselves. The clause was used to justify the regulation of production and consumption. Lastly, the clause also came into use by helping make kidnapping a federal crime. Congress in the Federal Kidnapping Act made it a federal crime to transport a kidnapped person across state lines because the act would be interstate activity over which Congress has the power. It also has provided justification for a wide variety of criminal laws related to interference with the federal government's rightful operation, which include federal laws against assaulting or murdering federal employees. So, in conclusion, the Necessary and Proper Clause really has played a big role in the history of the United States by defending the creation of things to making things federal crimes.